Welcome to yet another exciting edition of Sports Talk here on Alakti Television Network. On this edition of the program, 400 golfers gears up for Abuja Ladies Open. Coming in from the world of athletics, Senegal is set to host Africa. And in football, Nigerian Football Federation appoints new Super Eagles head coach. Details of these and many more will be yours when we return from the break. Welcome back, Sports Talk here, and I have with me Kingsley Manuel.
Thank you very much for having me, Siri. Very happy to be here this morning.
Let's start from athletics, where the Confederation of African Athletics has announced Senegal as the host of the 2025 Zone 2 Under 18 and Under 20 Athletics Championship, which are billed for March this year. Senegal, no doubt, have had in the past hosted this tournament, and now they look good again. Haven't gotten the nod ahead of Nigeria, Guinea, and Burkina Faso.
Yes, I think for me, actually a good one at this point in time. Senegal are taking the helm of affairs in this particular edition, and it's good of a thing that our very own Tinubu Kokowa is actually the president of this particular one, also the president of the Athletic Federation of Nigeria. According to him, he said the reason why Senegal was given the nod, of course, to host this one is as a result of the fact that, you know, the body want to expand the reach, you know, of the tournament, and as well, they talk about the facilities down there in Senegal. Also, the reason why Senegal was actually given that particular one, of course, to host this one. I think for me, it's a good one, looking at the fact that, you know, the West African countries, some of the West African countries are also given that sense of belonging in making sure that they also participate. I think it actually goes a long way to making sure that, you know, the Athletic Federation as well in that particular country will go a long way in terms of developing facilities, knowing the fact that, you know, such a tournament, you know, will be hosted down there, or probably they will have that opportunity maybe in future to host. So for me, I think it's a good one, expanding the region as well. You talk about the facilities down there in Senegal. I think for me, that's the reason why they've actually gotten, you know, that hosting right. We just look forward to see an interesting and a befitting, you know, tournament down there.
Come March this year, there will be an interesting, of course, very interesting developing tournament for the under 18 and under 20 for the Confederation of African Athletics in Senegal. We understand 500 nearly, or in fact over 500 athletes will be involved in this one, coming from 16 African countries, and expected that these young ones discovered will be thrown up at other major events. Kingsley, over 500 athletes will be taking part in this one from 16 African countries.
I think it's a very impressive one, massive, you say, at this point in time. And at this, in this particular one, we'll be looking forward to see how, of course, talent, of course, can be spotted. 500 athletes, at least you're able to look at for, to see how, you could possibly, fish out, a huge number of athletes, from this particular one. So for me, it's going to be an interesting showcase, seeing athletes coming from 16 African countries. That's to show you that, in the future, of course, Africa should be one of that continent, one of those continents that should be able to reckon, the other continents should be able to reckon, especially when it has to do with global competition and the World Athletics, Commonwealth Games, even talking about the Olympic Games. So I think it's going to be an interesting one.
Interesting one coming up in Senegal in March this year. Over 500 athletes from 16 African countries will be involved in multiple sports disciplines. And we'll see who amongst them will become world stars in the future. And still talking about the future, let's get to cricket now. And we understand Nigeria's women's under 19 cricket team coach, Sarah Blakita, has said that a minimal expectation from the team is to reach the semi-finals of the 2025 International Cricket Council Women's under 19 World Cup, which will be held from January 18th to February 2nd in Malaysia. Kingsley Bakita has been involved in the Junior Fellow Yellow Greens tournament, and now there's a need to pick up the only spot from the regional qualifiers ahead of Zimbabwe, the other team that is making the rounds, and of course keeping Nigerians on their toes.
Yeah, I think for me, it's actually a good one. I think she's done well so far. When you take a look at her performance, she actually helped the female Yellow Greens to pick the only ticket, down to the World Cup ahead of Zimbabwe. And for me, that was a very, very impressive performance you see from her. And this time around, I think it's going to be a good one, taking a look at the fact that, this will be the second time a Nigerian cricket team will participate in the World Cup. And this is coming from Bakita at this point in time. You say, she has what it takes, to be able to lead the girls. It's going to be a tough one, but we hope that with what they've been able to do so far, and her tactical prowess, that of course the guests will go far at this time around. 2024 was a very, very impressive year for them. We hope, of course, they continue with that fate 2025.
Well, 2025 is here, and a lot of sporting activities are getting geared up. And for cricket, there will be definitely a strong event. The oldest sports here in Nigeria, trying catching some young cricketers out there. We'll keep our fingers crossed, and of course, do reports here on latest development coming from the cricket fig. Meanwhile, let's look at the latest coming from golf. Kingsley, no fewer than 400 golfers from about 10 African countries will converge in Abuja, Nigeria, to compete in the 26th edition of the Amateur Ladies Open tournament. This tournament is scheduled for February the 13th to 17th at the prestigious IBB International Golf and Country Club in Abuja. We understand Uganda, Zimbabwe, Ghana, Botswana, Kenya, Rwanda, and Cameroon are among the top countries expected to be part of this one. Do Nigeria stand a chance of hosting and winning?
I think that's a big question at this point in time. Can they win? Yes, they've hosted, but can they get this one? We understand a very huge, impressive prize money awaits, the winner of this particular one, about I think $500,000. $5,000 US dollars. So it's a massive one at this point in time. Can they get past the likes of, Cameroon, Kenya? You talk about the likes of Botswana and Ghana. These are countries, of course, in Africa down here that has that a little bit of pedigree when it has to do with golf. I think when you talk about golf down here in Nigeria, we'll not really venture into golf, into developing golf, in the country. But we're just seeing tournament like this, at least trying to put Nigeria down there in the globe when it comes to, golf. But we just hope that this will also take us, to another level. Winning this one will actually put up a very, very good impression that at least we're doing something down here when it has to do with golf. The
IBB golf course will definitely be really, really hot out there with the ladies and the men team off in this one. Kingsley, ranking and the professional golfers will be part of this particular one. Do I say, bring the non-ranked and non-professionals to some kind of stiff competition?
For me, I think if you take a look at it, golf professionals will be coming down to this one. That's to tell you that, when it has to do with golf in the country, Nigeria has started stepping up, their game. And I would just look forward to see more of this coming, because when it continues, I tell you, we'll be able to reckon with, the very best, when it has to do with, sport, golf, down here in the country. And this will actually make a lot of, non-professionals to gain that level of experience and be able to interact, negotiate, and also have that first-hand experience with these professionals, of course, that will be coming in. And doing so, that will definitely enable the growth of golf down here, in the country. I think for me, it's actually a good initiative. We just hope that with this particular one, this is the 26th edition of it. That's to tell you that a lot has been done when it has to do with this particular tournament. We just hope with this, golf will actually get to an enviable height down here in Nigeria.
Golf getting to an enviable height here in Nigeria. Let's see what golf is like in the United States of America. Scotty Scheffler has withdrawn from the PGA Tour event in California next week. Kingsley is citing rehabilitation from a hand injury as the reason why he will not be involved in this one. Christmas has gotten its pre on him. I understand he was preparing dinner when he had injury on his hand. Christmas dinner.
Sad one. So, it's a very sad one down there for him. But we hope that he gets to recover in time. He's the world #1, as it stands. He's the man on the lips of everyone at the moment. Last year was a very impressive one for him. I think he won about, about 9 titles last year, and also was actually named the PGA Player of the Year, talking about 2024. So he actually had a very, very impressive performance. He's the man of the moments when it has to do with golf, in the PGA. We just hope that, of course, he gets a quick recovery and then bounce back, of course, to playing active golf at this point. So let us look forward to see how it goes down for him. It's just about the hand injury, and I think for me that would be a very, very serious issue.
It looks serious. He's having to undergo surgery on his palm.
Yeah, one thing about, the Europeans at some point, probably the Americans, they don't take, maybe probably you might say it's a minor one, but they don't take it lightly. They make sure they go to the extreme to get it done, properly before you can see them back maybe playing their different sport. And I think for me, that's what he's trying to do at this point in time. Probably if he's an African, maybe he would have probably adjust himself and say, let's go and play. But I think he just wants to make sure that he gets himself, very fit before bouncing back.
Hand injury for Scotty Scheffler out there. He will no longer be part of the California Open coming up in the next few weeks from now. But, well, let's hope that he can relax on what we saw of him last year. He was actually the PGA Player of the Year last year. And, of course, remember him winning the gold medal at the last Olympic Games as well. Let's get to boxing now. And in boxing, Congolese heavyweight boxer Martin Bakole has launched a blistering attack on Anthony Joshua. Of course, the Nigerian British vying to knock him out after dealing with Nigeria's Efe Ajagba in their upcoming International Boxing Federation Eliminator. Can this Congolese eliminate Ajagba? Thereafter, Anthony Joshua, Kingsley.
I think it should be one after the time, at this point in time.
He has Ajagba in the eliminator bout.
Yeah, he has to face Efe Ajagba first, before even talking about Anthony Joshua, at this point. This actually came as a result of Anthony Joshua, of course, praising Efe Ajagba, who is also his fellow Nigerian, to get this one, done and dusted, against the Congolese. But from what we've seen, I don't think, Anthony Joshua might give him that attention at this point. I think the man should be preparing for something huge, as it stands. Anthony Joshua, I think what he has at this point is either a rematch against Daniel Dubois, or probably be looking forward to facing Tyson Fury. I don't think he probably might have that time, of course, to face him at this point in time. For me, I think you should just focus in facing Efe Ajagba first, even before talking about a boxer like Anthony Joshua. It's actually not been a rosy one, if you ask me, for Anthony Joshua, but I think this year 2025 might be another breakthrough year for him. Let's just see how it goes. But for the man from Congolese, I don't think talking about facing Anthony Joshua, that might not be a reality. Looking at what Anthony Joshua has in his hand now, either a rematch with Daniel Dubois or Tyson Fury come 2025.
It doesn't come easy, but Anthony Joshua has really to have to come against Dubois first and see where he gets from there. We'll have to wrap up this half of the show with a basketball story, and we understand that Basketball League Africa has appointed former Nigeria senior basketball team coach D Tigers Sam Vincent as the camp director for the 2025 Basketball League combined schedule to be held from January 10th to the 12th at Rabat, Morocco. Vincent, no doubt, a known basketball coach across Africa.
Yeah, a known basketball coach across Africa. Of course, we saw what he did with the D Tigers, at some point. That was in 2004 Olympic, was able to, of course, help them to overtake, I think South Korea in that particular one. And that was the first time the D Tigers, ever did that. And for this recognition, I think for me, you could say that when it has to do with basketball, we have talent, down here. Recently, Oga Odaudo, of course, was actually being picked, by United States team, of course, to come, carry out, some kind of, assignment down there. And at this point in time, we're also seeing our very own being picked as well for such, an impressive campaign. So for me, I think when it has to do with basketball, Nigeria is actually well recognized. And this is a wake-up. This should be a wake-up call to the Nigerian Basketball Federation that we should do more. We should look forward to see how we can develop the basketball league down here in Nigeria. Now, when we go out there, we do well, but domestically, we're nothing to write home about, when it has to do with basketball. So I think at this point in time, we should look forward to seeing how to develop basketball, develop the talent, we have down here and in the country. And then the world will continue to recognize us, just like, it's been happening so far.
Well, let's talk about basketball. Let's look at the pinnacle, which is the NBA, and we're having some very interesting results coming out through in the early hours of this morning, where Charlotte Hornets of all teams beat Phoenix Suns by 115 to 104 points. Kingsley, this to me looks like a surprising result.
A surprising one indeed, if you ask me. Phoenix Suns, they've not been, at their very best, this season. They've just been up and down. I didn't even see Charlotte Hornets, of course, coming up to take them down, this point in time. If you take a look at it as well, Charlotte Hornets has also been a struggling side. So I think there's been there is a lot of work, for the Phoenix Suns to do if they really want to qualify, for the playoff and probably contend, for the title. Because with this pattern of play, it's really going to be very, very difficult, for them to, contend for the title this season.
Talking about surprise results this season, Houston Rockets beat Washington there by 135 points to 112 points. I'm really surprised Houston Rockets is doing so well so far this season.
Washington Wizards, if you take a look at it, I'm not really surprised with that result, because once they've been so abysmal this season. In fact, I think they're actually rocking, is it the bottom of the table in their own conference? They've not been that, fantastic, as a standard. I don't really know what is wrong with them this season. They have really, really gone down when it has to do with, performance. So you talk about Houston Rockets. There's also been one of the sides that they have actually stepped up their game. And for me, I wasn't really, surprised with that result. Taking a look at the fact that Washington Wizards, they've not been done fantastic so far this season.
Talking about this season and surprises, LA Lakers in a match in the early hours of this morning scored only 97 as compared to 118 scored by Mavericks from Dallas. Kingsley? LA Lakers couldn't make 100 points in this fixture.
So sad. LA Lakers, of course, with LeBron, one man who has done it so well, when it has to do with basketball, were not able, of course, to pull up to 100 points in that encounter. That should tell you that, it was a very, very intense encounter. We just hope that, of course, they'll be able to bounce back. A lot of expectation from them, looking at the fact that their key man, LeBron James, might be, of course, leaving them very simple. At this time, we'll look forward to see them, trying to step up the game. Last season, they tried to qualify for the playoff, but couldn't go far. But we just hope that, they definitely, of course, pick themselves at this point in time and continue to fight on.
New Orleans Pelicans couldn't make 100 points as well against the Minnesota Timberwolves. They scored 97 to 104 points scored by the Timberwolves from Minnesota.
Definitely, of course, was going to be a very intense encounter. Timberwolves, I think they're one of the surprising side when it has to do with performance so far this season. If you take a look at it, I think they're at least doing well, in their conference. I expected that level of performance, from them against the Pelicans. And of course, they didn't disappoint at the end of the day. We just hope that now that really step up their game, they'll be able to contend, probably when they get to the playoff with the likes of the Boston Celtics and the Cleveland Cavaliers. I think for me, the Timberwolves, they've really done well. We just hope they continue to build on this momentum.
Golden State Warriors disappointed their fans at home. They couldn't make 100 points as well. They scored only 98 as compared to 114 from the Heat from Miami.
If we take a look at it, well-known teams that have actually done a lot, when it has to do with the game, especially last season. Golden State Warriors, I think they've actually gotten some level of struggle. Their key man, Steph Curry, and this is what, of course, we've been talking about, since last season. When, of course, it seems as if only one man is shouldering the body of a team. Sometimes it goes this way. When, of course, when it matters most, it doesn't really come to the party. I think there should be, other hands that should give him that, support at this point in time. The Golden State Warriors, I think so far this season, they've not really been that fantastic. Even the Miami Heat at some point. So we'll just look forward to see what comes up for these two teams, this season.
It was a narrow loss for Utah Jazz against Atlanta Hawks, 112 points, with the Hawks scoring 114 points. 2 points difference between the home side Utah Jazz and Atlanta Hawks.
A very, very intense encounter, and I saw that one. It was actually a very, very cagey one. We saw both teams, of course, fighting down to the very end, of that particular one. I tell you, it was really, really an interesting encounter, and I think for me, Atlanta Hawks, were their very best, in that they were at their best, in that game, and that's why they were able to pull up, such an impressive performance. We just look forward to see how the season, of course, will pan out for them at the end of the day.
Another home loss for Denver Nuggets, 106 points as compared to 118 scored by Bolton Celtics.
Definitely know the kind of performance we expected from the Denver Nuggets this season, especially when you take a look at what they did last season. You want to give them that, chance of maybe putting up a very impressive performance. We understand that Bolton Celtics, yes, they've also been at their very best, this season. But coming against the Denver Nuggets, I expected the Denver Nuggets to have posed a very, very impressive, challenge, in that one. But that was not the case at the end of the day. Bolton Celtics, they've been fantastic. And, of course, that brilliance and that momentum, that's what they use, of course, in that encounter against the Denver Nuggets.
That will be it for this half of the show. We'll definitely be back in a short while. We'll take a break now. When we return from the break, we'll go to football. And football, trending at this point in time, is the latest appointment from the Super Eagles for the Super Eagles head coach position. The Nigerian Football Federation has now come out with a name, no more dropping. Now an appointment has been made, and Rivers Angels as well are preparing for the new season in football. Details when we return from the break. Welcome back. It's Sports Talk here on Atlantic Television Network, and we'll be bringing you latest happening around the world of sports. Now we'll have to move into football after looking at other sports. And we've just been joined by Chana Achiru. Chana Achiru is a well-respected sports journalist here in Nigeria, and he will air his thoughts about the latest appointment of head coach of the Super Eagles of Nigeria. After a long while, we've not had a head coach of the Super Eagles aftermath of what happened at the Nations Cup. We've had a lull, so to say. We had Austin Eguavoen, who has acted as head coach for a period, and now there's a permanent position has been given out to a Malian. Chana Achiru, nice to have you on Atlantic Television Network.
Good morning, Syria.
All right, it's trending in the last few hours that a Malian, Eric Chele, has been appointed as the head coach of the Super Eagles of Nigeria after Austin Eguavoen has acted in interim capacity. The man you see on your screen there is a familiar face. He led the Malian side to, I think, the quarterfinal of the last Nations Cup.
Yes, announced at about 8 p.m. last night. I think it's the case of giving Nigerians what they want. Nigerians have never trusted what is theirs. We've never believed in our own coaches. And by this, I'm not making the case for Nigerian coaches. Don't want you get me wrong. I'm saying that when you despise your own so much, you're going to get what is substandard just to prove that you got what was called foreign. There's no way a Malian is foreign to Nigeria. There's just no way a Malian is foreign. No Nigerian goes to Mali and says he has gone abroad. No Nigerian does that. So the NFF, in their bid to get a foreign coach for Nigeria, got a Malian who, an AFCON quarter-final placing is what every Nigerian coach that's gone to the AFCON has done for us. Now, if you want to get a foreign coach, get at least a decent journeyman coach. We'll go for a Malian. And the only thing that the NFF has not told us what qualities they saw in him. He has been announced as our coach, so we're going to support him because eventually the Super Eagles will go for the World Cup, not the Malian or any other person. If Nigeria fails, we all fail. If Nigeria succeeds, we all succeed. We're going to support him, but I would wish that in the coming days, the NFF can at least tell Nigerians what quality they saw in him, what his mandate. Is it just to go to the World Cup, or is it to, in quotes, build Nigerian football after this? Then again, will he come with his own assistant, or are we going to insult Nigerian coaches by asking them to assist him in a way of grooming them? I think these are questions that we'll have to answer. From my countenance, you can see I'm not pleased with the appointment. You can see I'm not pleased with the appointment. But again, it's what it is. Nigerians have their foreign coach, and let's support him to take Nigeria to the next World Cup. It's a difficult race. It will be difficult for him and for the Super Eagles and for Nigerians. But we have our appointment. We got what we wanted. Let's keep our heads up. I hope we get to the World Cup.
Chana, talking about foreign coach, yes, Chile is Malian. He has some French connection as well. But for me, I'm looking at his CV, and it doesn't look very appealing to me. Like you said, if you must get a journeyman coach, then get one that has some quality. He's reputed to have coached, in the Martinique, in the French lower league, as well. He's coached in Oran. These are small club sides in Europe. his highest in terms of quality is being at the Nations Cup quarter-final against the host nation Cote d'Ivoire, where he lost. And did the technical committee of the Nigerian Football Federation really go through his CV? Because, like we said, if you must get a foreign coach, then get the one that has some quality or pedigree better than what we have here in Nigeria.
The technical committee of the NFF, you asked a very good question. Did they go through his CV? No, they did not. No, they did. They went through his CV, but it didn't matter to them. They went through his CV. It just didn't matter to them. What mattered to them was that they're going to get Nigeria a foreign coach. And since they couldn't get the European foreign coach or the South American foreign coach, they got an African foreign coach. Listen, let's forget the French connection. If you're talking of those kind of connections, Guavon has Belgian connections. Siasia has Belgian connections. Amonike has Spanish connections. If we're talking about connections, Finidi had Dutch connections and Spanish connections. But again, I'm going to sound like I'm making a case for a Nigerian coach. I'm not. I'm making a case for a coach that is at least a coach. You look at his TV and you ask in the first place, why did Mali employ him? For the same reason. Africans always want something that looks like foreign. So that's why Mali employed him. Now we have employed him. Hope for the best. There's nothing in his CV. There's nothing whatsoever in his CV. Nothing at all in his CV. Apart from taking Mali to the AFCON quarterfinal. And listen, any decent coach can take Mali to the AFCON quarterfinal, or Nigeria, or Ghana, or Cote d'Ivoire, or any decent coach to the quarterfinal. But again, like I said earlier, it's done. He's a coach for at least the next, maybe 1 year, or when the World Cup qualifiers end. If you can succeed in winning all 6 remaining games, then we are likely to be in the World Cup. Then he'll go to the World Cup, and we'll see what happens from there. I'm not going to sit down here and say he's going to fail. I don't know if he's going to fail. He might jolly well succeed.
Well, talking
about
one
thing I know for sure.
Yes, I'm sorry to interrupt you there. Talking about the task ahead of him, he has very difficult tasks, I must say. Nigeria currently is placed 5th, or do I say, in the qualifying group for the FIFA World Cup. I spoke with Colin the other day, and Colin was like, he's lost faith. He doesn't see Nigeria qualifying for the World Cup, except in the very miraculous circumstances. And we needed the best of hands to pilot Nigeria to win all 6 games to stand a chance of going to the next edition of the FIFA World Cup. Can Chile accomplish the task which he has been given, qualify Nigeria for the FIFA World Cup?
Let's speculate now and talk like conjecture. Finidi could have done it. Eguavoye could have done it. This man can do it. Anybody can do it, because we are talking of can. We can't sit back and say it's not possible, because in football, that's why football is called a beautiful game. Anything can happen, so it is possible. But let's be realistic here. You said you spoke to Colin Udo, and he said we need the best of hands to pilot Nigeria to win the next 6 games. Is the Malian the best of hand? Is he a grade A coach? Answer is no. Is he a grade B coach? Answer is no. Is he a grade C coach? Answer is maybe. Now, is that the best of hands? No, it's not. But did we get a coach? We did. Now, the NFF act like they're under pressure to get someone that is not Nigerian. And that's what bothers me. And like I said, you can see from the way I speak, I'm not pleased with the decision. The NFF acts like they're under pressure to get someone that is not Nigerian. Now, after Finidi, 2 games, 2 draws, it will be difficult to make a case for him, because when we needed to win mostly, he failed to win in 2 games. Sorry, 1 draw and 1 loss rather, which was very poor of him. We brought in Eguavoye, and whether I would like it or not, whether I would like Eguavoye or not, whether I would like the color of his skin or not, whether I would like it nationality or not, Eguavoye steadied the ship. He actually did steady the ship. He brought some calm to the team. He brought some confidence to the team. The team started playing like they knew what they were doing once again. Now, you're taking us back to, where we're almost starting afresh. And it's not like you're bringing a coach that can rub his shoulders high amongst the best in the world. You're bringing a coach that can't even rub his shoulders among the best in Africa. Let's face it, he can't rub his shoulders among the best African coaches. He can't do that when you're bringing him. So we're going to hope for the best. Can we win our next 6 games? We can. Will we win our next 6 games? It's left for the players and the coach and God and the NFF to decide that. If you ask me, I'm not holding my breath that Nigeria will be at the...
deliver Nigeria the FIFA 2026 World Cup ticket. He will be charged as well with running the Chan Eagles. In the past, we've seen head coaches of the Super Eagles treat the Team B, that is Super Eagles Chan team, as secondary. But now we understand part of his job will be to oversee what happens with the Chan Eagles. Do you think this is a good, assignment as well, incorporated into his job as the head coach of the Super Eagles?
I don't think he's going to handle the Chan team. The Nigeria Football Federation has never successfully told any Super Eagles coach that is not Nigerian to handle the Chan team. The last time a coach handled the Chan team was Stephen Keshi, when he handled the main Super Eagles team and then handled the Chan team. Even when Sunday Olise was coach, he did not handle the Chan team. He let Salisu handle the Chan team, but he went to the Chan tournament and acted like, should I say, a supervisor of that team. But it was Salisu that actually handled the Chan team. Gerald Troji don't handle the Chan team. Eguavoen was not handling the Chan team, maybe because he was technical director. I'm going to wait to see if the new coach will handle the Chan team. But personally, I don't think he needs all of that distraction. I don't think he needs all of that distraction because the target for the Super Eagles will be 6 games in the World Cup qualifiers. The Ogunmodede and Ilechiko have done so well already with the Chan team. They've done so well already with the Chan team. They can handle the Chan team. Let the new coach focus on the task at hand, which will be getting 18 points from 6 matches.
Reason being
15 points will not be enough.
Okay, but reason being that the head coaches of the Super Eagles do not integrate home-based players because of their, do I say, lack of knowledge or inadequate knowledge of the players that play in the Nigerian league, and that if they supervise the Chan competitions or head, they will be able to pick and maybe have full knowledge of the players that are on the home front.
No coach will pick home-based players to play those 6 games. Me and you know this. No coach. The only coach that was bold enough to have done that was Stephen Keshi. No coach will pick players on the Nigerian league, and the new coach will not. If they like, let them send him to coach Nasarawa United or Rivers United or Oyimba. He will not pick home-based players to play the World Cup qualifying matches. You see, the NFF, they think Nigerians are fools. They feel like, okay, give a dog a bone, leave a dog alone. Like a famous rap artist did. Okay, you want home-based players, okay, send the coach to just give them one and they'll be out and they'll be satisfied. Look, now it's not the time to talk about home-based or foreign-based players. Now is the time to qualify for the World Cup. Whether Eric coaches the home-based Super Eagles or not, he will not pick those players for the World Cup qualifiers. These coaches want things easy for them. They don't want to work. They want to just sit down in their hotel room, watch the La Liga, watch the EPL, watch the French League, watch the German League, and drop a list of players. Watch the Saudi League, watch the league in Austria, and drop a list of players that will just come into camp 4 days to a game. After 3 training sessions, they pick their team list. They don't want to see players they don't know. So, I mean, we'll be here. We'll see it. There will be no home-based players playing any of those games for the Super Eagles, whether he coaches the Chan team or not. That's just a smoke screen. And it bothers me that up to 2025, those around the NFF still think that this simple trick will work on Nigerians. It might work on some Nigerians, it won't work on me. Having that man coach the Chan team makes no difference entirely. It makes no difference. It doesn't make any difference.
Okay, China, let's begin to wrap up the show now because we're running out of time. Come 15th of January this year, of course, just about a week or so from now, the female league will get underway here in Nigeria, female Premier League, I mean. We understand Rivers Angels will be unveiling their team for the year, with a new set of jerseys, maybe new players. Above all, there's a new head coach for the team. Tosi Blankson will be joining Rivers Angels for the 2024-2025 football season. What do you make of this appointment, and do you think Rivers Angels can get back to the top level of football we used to know of them in the years past?
Well, I just hope that Tosin Blankson will be allowed to walk and he won't get carried away by Port Harcourt. I first saw him in action, I think that was 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, when I watched a game at the University of Port Harcourt Sports Complex, Rivers Angels versus Delta Queens, the good Delta Queens at that time. I loved his team shape. I loved the team mentality. I loved how the girls played the ball. You know, they had a somewhat defensive approach. They knocked the ball around and they played off the counter, hit Rivers Angels, came back, you know, passed the ball around. And I love the fact that they maintain their shape and they're not carried away by the pressure from Rivers Angels. And they won that game. I think 1-0, they won that game. And from that day, I started observing Tosin Blackson's team until he eventually went on to win the league. Now, with him at Rivers Angels, it's been quite a while that Rivers Angels had a coach that could display visible tactics, could display visible team mentality, visible play pattern. It's been quite a while. I've not watched any of their training sessions yet. I've not watched any of their friendly games yet. But because Blankson is in charge of that team, certainly when the league kicks off, I'll be watching that league games to see if he can replicate what I saw at Delta Queens, at Rivers Angels. I expect a good Nigerian Women League season. I just hope that the management of the league can, should I say, build on what has happened so far. Right now, we had the CAF Champions League for women. There's a bit of money. There's a bit of exposure. I hope that they can build on that to ensure that our Nigerian clubs are ready for the big occasion. Ready for the big occasion. I'm watching the league. And like I said, I wish Rivers Angels the best. I wish Tosin Blackson the best. I also wish the Women League the best too.
Okay, let's wrap it up across Europe now. We know of Didier Deschamps. You know him, the French national team coach. One man who has won the World Cup as a player and as a coach as well. He's announced that he's going to step down from his role after the 2026 World Cup. Do you admire this decision from Didier Deschamps, the French national team football coach?
It's about time. It's about time. He's been to 2 World Cups and has been to the Euros. Listen, when you've been there, you've seen it all you want, and let another person take the saddle. He probably wants to just retire from football completely, maybe go into club football, maybe become a consultant.